What's up, people? I'm back with another video. Tales from the Pen, it's just a real talk edition, really, tell you the truth. This isn't really like a specific part. Just came on to vibe with everybody because I know the next few days going to be kind of hectic for me. Between work, kids, and, so I figured I'd come on here and chop it up with you guys for a little bit. Throw something out there to everybody. For those who are new to my channel, just stumbled upon my channel, my name is Fred. I'm from Queens. And on my channel, I talk about my 16 years of experience in the penitentiary in Rikers Island. I've been getting locked up since I was 14. And by the age of 17, I was in prison for felony murder. So what I do on my channel is to deter. I try to deter kids and try to deter people from going to prison by telling them real stories and real life situations. Today I might not talk about prison too much. I might talk about it a little bit, but I want to talk about a chain of events, right? So, as I said, I went to trial on felony murder charges. Excuse me, but before I actually went to trial, the judge in my case dismissed my charges from felony murder to manslaughter. Because they say during the course of a robbery that we tried to rob this kid for his bike, which wasn't true. Never happened. If it did happen, I would say it. Because we tried to rob a lot of people for a lot of things. But on that night, we weren't thinking about this kid's bike at all. But the DA turned it into that, to try to get felony murder charges to stick, to saying that we tried to rob him during the course of the robbery. He died. He ran in the street and got hit by a car, is what happened. He got hit by a drunk driver. I have a little, let's see if you guys can see this right here. See what that says? Murder trial ordered for 2 teens. Murder trial ordered for 2 teens. This was the Daily News. I actually was on the front page of the Daily News, the Post, and everything when my case actually happened. But this was a couple years into my case, because what had happened was the judge, like I said, dismissed my murder charge to manslaughter, okay? Now, during the proceedings and waiting for trial and all that, it takes months. The district attorney went over his head, okay? When he went over his head, he, to the appellate division. So in other words, the district attorney has, because a lot of people don't know these laws. The district attorney has the ability to appeal that judge's decision. And that's what they did. And when they appealed that decision, I got this back. And I was like, oh shit. It was like I said, it was in the Daily News. Murder trial ordered for 2 teens. Yeah. I need my glasses to read that, but so we'll just go on. What do we have here? An appellate. Here's what it says: an appeals court has reinstated murder charges against 2 Flushing teenagers accused of trying to steal a bicycle. Never happened. And chasing its owner onto, Utopia Parkway, where he was killed by a car. The appellate division of the state Supreme Court, sitting in Brooklyn, reversed Jamaica Supreme Court Justice blah 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 pre-trial dismissal, ruling that a grand jury had enough evidence to return the original indictment. Defense lawyers for defendant blah blah, that's me, 18, and defendant blah blah had opposed the prosecution theory in the pre-trial hearings that charged the 2 with murder in connection with felony, the attempted bike theft. And it goes on to say, a bunch of other things here, but it never happened, that it was an accident, didn't mean that to happen, but that is what happens. And as I said in part 8, if you guys haven't watched part 8, one of my good friends, I'm going to tell you about a chain of events. So one of my good friends at that time testified against me. he got on the stand and said, he put me in his place. That's what he did, because he really was, more active in that participation than I was. He chased the kid down the block. I didn't see any of that. But, he just put me in his place, and that's what people do. And this is the point I try to get across to these kids. Your homeboy's not your homeboy when the lights come on. That's a fact. When they got you in them rooms, and them big bright lights come on, and they're doing all these questioning to you, all that loyalty goes out the window. People act like they can hold it down. I'm going to hold it down for my boy. But when they start talking felony murder, which is the rest of your life in prison, it's not going to happen. I don't care who your homeboy is, who your homegirl is. They're going to tell on you. That's the way it goes. Everyone's your friend until they're not. I was semi-popular, you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. And like I said, when I went to prison, nobody cared. Only a couple people came to visit me, a couple people sent me stuff. People didn't care. It's out of sight, out of mind. And I know I always say it. I just try to reiterate this type of things, man. So let me tell you, how certain things, your chain of events. So the kid that ended up telling on me, now, in between when you get arrested to when you go to trial, especially in a murder case or anything like that, is going to be years, okay? So what had happened was I went to trial. Now, my lawyer told me, you know what? Let's waive the jury. Being we know, first of all, when the district attorney went over the judge's head and got the judge's decision overturned back to murder, they sent the case right back to the same judge. So now the judge is feeling some type of way that, number one, that the district attorney did that. Are you with me? And number two is his mind was already on the manslaughter charge, not murder. So why take our chances with 12 jurors who may believe the DA? So what I did was I waived the jury, and I went what was called a bench trial. Being that I already knew, my lawyer was like, we know that the judge is already thinking manslaughter. If we take a chance with the jury and they believe him, you could go to jail for the rest of your life. So it was a pretty easy decision for me. I had to trust my attorneys anyway. I was naive anyway. But I had a good attorney. He was actually president of the Bar Association. So he was very, very well liked and very well versed and knew what he was talking about. So it made sense to waive the jury rather than to take the chance. You with me? So I went to bench trial where, I beat felony murder charges and I blew the manslaughter. I blew the manslaughter in the second degree, and I blew to the stolen Jeep. And rather than run them concurrent, which would be together, and the 5 would overlap the 2, they ran it separate. So I got 5 to 15 and 2 and a 37, and they ran it consecutively. So technically I had 7 and a third to 22 years. And so anyway, like I said, one of the guys testified on me at the trial. I went back after he testified and I called home. And I let some of my dudes know, my boy Frank. And I let these guys know, yo, this guy just testified on me. Because no one knew this was happening because he had vanished. Like I said, from the beginning of the case to when you go to trial, for me it was like 2.5 years, so, a little more. So no one had seen this kid. He started hanging out in another neighborhood. Let me just tell you how the world goes round. This is a crazy story. So he started hanging around with other people, and so when I called home and told him what he had did, my little clique at that time was still in the streets, and they caught him. He actually came around the way one day because he was vanished for a while. He came around the way and they caught him by the pizza place, by Valentino's. And a couple of my dudes, put that work in on him. My man Frank and a few others. put work in on him. You know, it was in the daytime or, you know, something worse would have happened to him. But they had to take that chance right here because they knew maybe they weren't going to see him again. But if it was nighttime and, you know, I don't know what would have happened. So they caught him, you know, did all types of things, put his face on the curb and wrecked him. He had to get surgery and all that, right? You know, this was the word. But what happened was he went back to his people, I guess who he was hanging around with, little Corona kids and things like that. Some other people in some other area. He went and told them, yo, these guys jumped me. They didn't know why he got jumped. It's just these guys jumped me. So those guys came riding over here, you know, in my neighborhood. And they shot up my park. You know, I used to hang in a park, 165. That was the name of my clique, too, because that was the park we hung out in. And they came over, and these dudes shot the park up. This kid Lee, my man Lee, shot the park up. Pop, pop, pop. And they ended up, I think, shooting somebody in the ass or something like that. You know, something like that. You know, but shooting at innocent people who had nothing. They weren't in my clique. They weren't part of, you know, it was just they came and shot the park up. Because this bird told them, you know, these guys jumped me. He didn't say why, though. You know what I mean? He didn't let him know because I ratted and I was just on the stand. I just had a suit on. You know, now I got my sweatsuit on, but I just had a suit on and, you know, with my hair pushed back and was looking nice with glasses and testifying on Fred. He didn't say all that. So we fast forward years later. I get out of penitentiary and I got a good job. You know, decent job at the time. I was installing, we were installing wireless internets in schools all over the New York. You know, my little crew, the little crew we had, we were all tight. But one of them, me and him was real tight. My man Lee. Salute to my boy Lee. I know he gonna watch this. He down in Florida. So one day we riding home, we just vibing. You know, I'm in the passenger seat, he's driving. We're literally on the highway, the LIE. So he's telling me, yo, man, oh, that, you know, Flushing, I know you from Flushing, blah, blah, blah. Yo, that park. I was like, yeah, that used to be my park. I used to, like, claim that. That's my park. He was like, yo, I got to tell you something. I said, what's up? He said, you know, I shot that park up one day. Because we didn't know, all these years, no one knew who did that. And I was like, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah, and he told me the story. He's like, my boy such and such, my boy Dave came back and told us that the dudes over there jumped him. I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, you know why they jumped him, right? He's like, nah. I said, because that's the one who snitched on me. That's the one who testified against me. His face, he's Dominican. You know what I mean? His face turned white. He pulled over on the highway. Like, he didn't get off on the exit or nothing. He literally pulled off on the shoulder of the highway. He was like, what? Because me and him was like this now. Me and this dude was like this. He's like, what? That's who sent... I said, yeah, bro, that's the one who sent me to jail. He was like, yo, if I would have known that. I said, yeah, nah, it's all love. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, he comes to the barber shop where I'm at regularly. You know, where I go. My boy owns the shop. We all cool with him. They were all Facebook friends and everything. They all cut him off right after that. You know what I'm saying? Once they knew the story, they all cut him off. As I told you, he went on to be a corrections officer in a federal joint, MCC, whatever that's called. You know, so he went on to do that, you know, while I struggled in the penitentiary. While I struggled for survival. But it's just a small world. You know what I mean? Nobody messes with him from that circle anyway. They all cut him off. In fact, the dude wrote me. Because I'm going to do real quick, you know. One day, it was done on purpose. My boy put up a 50-cent post. The dudes ride on me. You want me to die, homie? Whatever, the Manny, you don't know what I'm talking about. He put up a verse. And dude wrote something underneath it. So I knew he would see it. I had Facebook for like a month back in the days. Now I just recently got it again because I came up off Facebook. To me, it was corny. And I wrote something underneath my boy's response because I knew he would see it. And then he wrote my boy. He's like, yo, that Fred Johnson? Is he from such and such? Yo, I got beef with him. This is what he said. You got beef with me? You're police. You're a federal corrections officer. How you got beef with me? And as soon as he wrote my boy, shout out to my boy Randy. My boy Randy sent it to me. He said, look at this dude. Look at this dude. Because they already knew the story. I wrote dude right away, yo, listen, stop running around talking about we got beef like we 16 years old. That's one. Number two is I can't have beef with you. I'm a parolee. You're a federal corrections officer. They would put me under the jail. Stop. Stop the nonsense, man. You did what you did. You know what I mean? And I explained to him, they offered me 2 years to tell on everybody, and I didn't. I didn't tell on nobody. Stop running around talking about we got beef. We don't have beef, bro. How could we have beef? He wrote me back, yo, I apologize. I was young, blah, blah. Maybe we can meet up and talk. Ain't nothing to talk about, man. You must be out of your mind. You must be out your rabbit-ass mind. You try to send me to jail, like I said, for felony murder. In other words, you tried to send me to jail for the rest of my life. For something that you know. Yeah, I was there, but I didn't do what you said I did. Because you're the one that did that. It's crazy, this is why I try to tell people, and this is why I'm so adamant and why I'm so passionate about it, because this dude was my boy. Before all this happened, we was back to back, running crazy in the streets. When dudes caught him and jumped him, who we came to, boom, you know what I mean? Let's go get him. This is what it was. And this is why I understand a certain mentality that's in these streets. And this is why I understand when these kids think that their boys got their back. Your boy's only going to have your back to a certain extent. Let's get this right. Because if something negative happened, everyone's going to tell on everyone. That's the way it goes, man. I just wanted to come on here and tell a little story about, full circle. And me and the other kid, Lee, that's my brother. We're like this. He's in Florida. When he comes up, I see him. You know what I mean? That's my boy. Salute to him, Randy, everybody, them dudes, because immediately they cut him off. But it just goes to show that, all your boys ain't your boys, man. And if they have the opportunity to get out of their situation and dig you a deeper hole, they'll do it. Not only will they dig you a hole, they will push you in it, and they will throw the dirt on top of you while you're still alive. If it means they walk away. A lot of people don't understand that. There's very few people who are actually going to hold it down with you or for you. And most people don't understand that until you're in these situations. And then it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe it. No. As I say, it's all the time on TV. You see it all the time. Any of these crime shows, any of these First 48s, any of that. When it gets thick, when they start talking about felony murder, and you must go to trial on felony murder, you can't cop out, you must go to trial. That's what this paper says. Ordered. It was ordered. I had no other choice but to go to trial on felony murder. There was no more cop outs, there was no more nothing. So I fought for my life. So this is why I do what I do. The whole story. This is why, I have this mentality. This is why I'm so passionate about certain things, and I get more passionate when I speak about certain things. Because a lot of people don't understand until something negative happens, and then you're like, wow, I thought this guy was my friend. There's no such thing, man. And like I said, it's out of sight, out of mind. Once you're gone, you're gone. And it's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling when you're in there and, you really don't have too much or nobody. Thank God I had my family. Thank God. Like I said, I have a couple friends that, came to see me to make sure I was all right. My brother, I call him my brother Mike. My boy G, who was the co-host on the podcast, he came up 10 hours to see me in Clinton one day. I got a visit. I'm like, who the hell go on a visit? It's G. I'm like, oh, shit. It's only a couple. People don't really care about you when you're going, man. Salute to my boy Will. He used to write me all the time. Send me pictures and stuff. The stuff kept my morale up. My boy Frank, too. It's only a couple, though. I had hundreds of friends or associates or people I thought were my friends. And then when you come home, it's like, oh, wow, you're home, great. And it's, come on, man. It's not the same because I'm not the same. I went through hell. I walked through fire. So I'm a different person now. That's how I looked at it. And like I said, once you get in there, you're stuck. Because as I always say, trouble is the easiest thing to get into. But it's the hardest hell to get out. And once the district attorney wants you and feels they got you, you're done. I'm blessed to have beat felony murder charges. When they came back with the decision and I stood up, all I kept envisioning was guilty. All I kept envisioning was, wow, I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. And when I closed my eyes and they said felony murder charge, not guilty, I was like, whew. Manslaughter in the first degree, not guilty. Because I was 8 1/3 to 25 right there. Manslaughter in the second degree, guilty. But I knew the most on that was 5 to 15. Which to the average person might be like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But when you're facing the rest of your life in prison, 5 to 15 means 10 years. It's not so bad. This is what I was thinking. And then they ran stuff, consecutive, like I said, for the stolen Jeep and stuff like that. But I do this so people don't find themselves in those positions. I do this so people understand the mentality and I try to bring you in with me. That nobody really cares about you but your family. Nobody really cares. So to all you kids out there, y'all know what I'm about to say. Stay your ass in school. To all you kids out there, stay out of trouble. Stay out the streets. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Because all the boys and people you're hanging with, they don't care when you're gone, man. No one's going to give your family money, nothing to make sure you're okay, nothing. And this is why I get on here and I speak like this. I'm just, I just said, let me just do this today real quick. I found this newspaper. I said, let me just do this. Nobody cares. You got to care about yourself. Stay in school. Get yourself an education. Be somebody in life. Live your dash. Don't be like me. I wasted so many years of my life. Good years. When I was supposed to be in, junior prom, senior prom, maybe going to college, doing something with my life, starting a family. I did it. I was fighting wars. I was trying to make sure that the guy behind me wasn't going to cut me. When I was walking to the mess hall 2 by 2 and there's someone behind me. I have to make sure I have no enemies or see who's who, where I'm at. Always got to be on point. Always got your head on a swivel, because you don't know where it's coming from or why it would come. It's a messed up existence. It's messed up to live your life like that. But, I did it to myself. I was living a certain lifestyle. I was running the streets. I was thinking I was cool. I caught numerous cases before this, so there was many warning signs for me to stop. I just chose to ignore all those signs and ignore all those people, because I was going to do things differently. I know what I'm doing. I got this. That was my mentality. I got this. You can't tell me nothing. So for all these kids out here who have this I got this mentality, please take heed to some of the words that I'm spewing right here. Please. And understand. Don't be an asshole like me. Don't ignore the warning signs like me. Like if you've been arrested a few times and you're young, you know what that tells me? That tells me your career as a criminal sucks. Do something different. That's what it tells me. If you've already been arrested a couple times and you're under 18, your career as a criminal is horrible. You're not a criminal. Do something different. Try something else. Simple. Do something good with your life. And on that note, people, experience is the greatest teacher. But somebody else's experience could be just as valuable if you pay attention and listen. Salute to all my subscribers. Salute to everyone, who jumped over to the Sports Talk with Fred White. If you haven't jumped over to Sports Talk with Fred White, come on over, people. I'm close to 200 subscribers now over there. I like it, but I need more. If you like sports, even if you don't like sports, come support your boy. Sports Talk with Fred White, hit subscribe, boom. Again, salute to all my subscribers. I even talked to one the other day. He told me, he hit my email, gave me his phone number, I called him, what's up? Shout out to D. I'm personable. I'm approachable. So anybody need any help or anything, anybody going through some things, hit my email, pentales5279. Just like it's spelled, PENTALES 5279 @gmail. You know what I mean? You guys want to talk? You got some issues? Maybe your kid's going through some issues? That's what I do. I call people. I won't block my number or nothing. So anybody want to vibe? Anybody got stuff to talk about? Leave your phone number there. Tell me what the situation is, who you are. Boom, and I'll give you a call. And we can vibe. And on that note, people, Fred White, signing off.